Hello, race fans. Welcome to episode number 14 of the Road to Indy Insider Live. My name is Rob Howden, the voice of the Road to Indy, presented by Cooper Tires, and I'm part of the IndyCar Radio Network pit lane reporter crew as well. Of course, that's what I do with the Indy Lights program. The guy that we're having on the show today will be part of that program in 2021. This year, though, Devlin DeFrancesco ran with Andretti Steinbrenner Autosport in the Indy Pro 2000 category. He joins me here today for this edition. Let's bring Devlin in. Bud, how are you?
Hey, Rob. How are we doing?
I'm good, man. I thought we'd just jump right into here quickly before I did a bit of an intro for you. The bottom line is, for those who may be joining us for the first time, whether it's here on YouTube or I'm streaming it on my Facebook page, the Road to Indy Insider Facebook page as well. Devlin, a young driver who I have had the privilege of watching running since his very first years in karting, coming up through the Minimax class into junior. Of course, you went to Europe to race karts, and I think I want to get started here before we talk about the 2020 Indy Pro 2000 championship and your season there. You were working your way up through the European ranks. Give me a little overview of that first. You went over and, of course, ran a bunch of karting in Europe. Where did you get started in cars on the European trail?
So in the season of 2015 and 2014, I broke my wrist. So I had multiple surgeries to get that fixed. So I was ready to drive around middle of 2015. Okay. So I did about half a season of Ginetta Juniors, to drive a car of some sorts, coming from karting. Yes.
Yeah.
Very good car to learn in, on road tires, moves around a lot. So really good to learn the basics in. I had a great team behind me, HHC Motorsport, who still to this day have won many races and championships. To then the year after doing F4 with Carlin, finishing fifth in that, winning the team's championship that year as well. A very strong team across all the ladders of motorsports in Europe, and then went to IndyCar and won an Indy Lights championship as well. To then do Euro Formula Open F3 in 2017, to finish third in that and win Spanish F3 was a nice boost. To then do a little bit of FIA F3 and then GP3 with half a season with MP. A very good team as well. Very well known in Formula 2 as well. To then do a season last year with Trident. And I always had coming back to the US in my mind.
You did?
Speaking to Michael Andretti for quite a while, back and forth about it. And it all changed in the 2019 Indy 500 when I went there and I met George Steinbrenner and Sean Jones. And we talked about it, and nothing really came of it really until through 2019 we talked, and then the whole plan was to do F3 in 2020.
Okay.
To then maybe come back after F3.
All right.
Then the pandemic hit.
Yeah. Right.
And I sort of thought, man, we need to fast track this. So spoke with Sean, put everything together, with Michael and the Andretti Steinbrenner guys, and ended up doing a season of Indy Pro. Very late call, but the team did an unbelievable job, and I think all my European experience definitely helped speed up the learning process that we had to go through.
Yeah, let's talk about that. You jumping, of course, into the program for the first time. We had to wait till we got to Road America in July actually to get any racing done. I know you're probably chopping at the bit, but Andretti Autosport, of course, had the Indy Lights team. Indy Lights goes on hiatus after what happened with the pandemic. So you essentially get all the Indy Lights guys. Doug Zister and the whole crew comes down, but they're learning a brand new race car as well that they were able to lease. Tell me how those first couple of weekends were. They're learning the car, you're learning the car. It's like you end up qualifying very well and finishing well at Road America as well.
Yeah, so the first test we had was quite difficult, I'd say. A lot that we needed to do and a lot we saw we needed to work on, and we definitely progressed on it through the year. And, on our day, we had a very, very strong race car. Road America, I think the conditions helped us a lot. With the damp conditions in qualifying.
True.
Yeah. Which we were really strong in, and the car was performing really, really well. But Road America was great. We really, the days that really helped us, honestly, was the New Jersey test at the end of the year.
Really?
Till then, it was always a little bit hit and miss because there was not much testing before the races.
That's true. Yeah, you're right.
And Doug, is a very, very good a very good race engineer. I'd say, to do what he did this year with a car that he doesn't know very well,
with no testing,
with no testing as well.
Yeah.
His Indy Lights experience definitely came of use, and I have big respect for that guy, especially on ovals as well. We went to the oval, and the thing was a rocket ship from day one.
We'll talk about that in a second, because I think that's such a cool part of the story. You get in the car in the PM18 for Indy Pro 2000.
Yes.
Where do you rate that car, that Indy Pro? What's it the most similar to of what you've driven when you were in Europe?
I'd say it's a step between the regional F3 car and the FIA F3 car.
Yeah, I turned my phone off.
Yeah, it's the home phone, actually.
That's funny. That's awesome. All right. So between the regional F3.
Yeah, between the regional F3 and I'd say the FIA F3, it has very, very good mechanical grip.
Yeah.
In the low speed. Just in the higher speed, it lacks a little bit of downforce, but the Cooper tire gives off a very good grip, so that makes up for some of that.
And you know what? To bring it up, the fact that you weren't able to have that testing, man, that really puts you in a. Are you gonna move in a bit here?
No, I'm just putting the phone outside because that's gonna keep ringing.
Devlin was having, folks, if you're tuning in, Devlin was having trouble.
That.
Devlin was having trouble with internet access, and the internet Wi-Fi wasn't working good, so he moved as close as he could to the actual wireless. The router, which is of course beside the phone now. I love these live shows. We had Stingray Rob on, and he had a dog. I think the dog had to come in the house or something like that. It was crazy. So not having any testing puts you behind so much. You think about the guys that you were racing against: Artem Petrov, Stingray Rob, these guys with more experience. Number one, on the racetracks, and number two, a lot of the guys had experience in the car as well. Stingray had his third year in the car, second year for Artem. Obviously put you kind of behind a little bit, but you guys kept catching up, like you said, to be able to get that extra test date in New Jersey. Let's go and talk about here you are, race winner, champion, karts, coming all the way through road course. You get your first win on the road to Indy on the oval at Worldwide Technology Raceway. Give me your thoughts first when you first started oval racing, your first oval test. Obviously, Lucas Oil Raceway, you're one of the fastest guys at the end of that race, the Freedom 90. What were your thoughts on ovals as soon as you got onto them?
So it was always something I was very excited to do because one of my strengths as a driver has always been in high speed corners.
All right.
So a lot of that did translate over to oval racing. And man, I just love every second of it. We did a Freedom 100 iRace the other day.
I saw that. Yep.
That Kyle hosted. Man, it was so much fun. The oval racing, I see why the Indianapolis 500 is such a special race.
Yeah.
It's just, there's nothing like it in the world, really. Oval racing in general is something I really, really enjoy. And as well, having a great engineer like, Doug Zister and, good mechanics in the car like J-Rob and Jessica as well, who have a lot of experience in Indy Lights, especially with the ovals as well. So the car really was unbeatable that weekend.
Give me the learning curve of the Lucas Oil Raceway weekend, the Freedom 90. It's a 2-day deal on Thursday and Friday. How bad were you at the start, or did you roll off the trailer fast? And did you get better and better throughout the weekend? I know you were faster. You saved your tires, I think, a bit early when some guys might have been pushing, and you were coming on like a freight train at the end of that race.
That definitely helped with the Pirelli experience that I had coming from GP3 and F3 with Trident, with a tire with a big fall off. So when the race sort of started, I either thought we're in trouble or everyone else is going to have no tire at the end of the race. And it seemed like no one else.
I think we're losing him a little bit here because of what do you call it? You back, Devlin? Having some internet trouble here with Devlin. Hopefully we can get him back here in a couple of seconds. If Devlin, if you want, if you can still hear me, you can drop out and come back in, and I'll bring you back. Devlin, like you said, a pretty great run. We'll get back to it in here in a second because he is locked up on me here right now. We'll see. I'll drop Devlin out. Devlin, come on back if you can. We'll drop Devlin out of the show here. Let's see. No, he's struggling right now here again. I'm going to kick him out of the studio. We'll get him to come back in after that. Devlin, of course, as we said, to be able to have Doug Zister there, a guy that knows so much about oval racing and everything was able to dial in through all the years he's been in Indy Lights. You could see how fast he was able to get. I know those of you who may have gone back or either watched it live, or you can always go back to the Road to Indy TV YouTube page. All the races are there. You watch that race from Lucas Oil Raceway, the Freedom 90, and at the end, it was Hunter McElroy and Devlin DeFrancesco who were the ones that were coming forward in a big way. But again, I kind of figured Devlin was going to be able to get that breakthrough on the road course. That's what I figured he was going to do to be able to get that first race win. He ends up getting it at Worldwide Technology Raceway at Gateway. We'll get a couple of shots up here while we wait for Devlin to potentially come back with us. And one of the things I want to ask him about when he does come back is to see whether or not there was struggle. That was the whole deal. Let me send a text to him right now. We'll get him to come back into the deal. He's having trouble with internet, as I had said before. Here's Devlin. Bringing him back into the... You're back?
Upstairs,
we are struggling.
now. The internet dropped in my room, so...
Well, you can at least hear me now, right?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. You're back.
Oh, sorry, the internet dropped in my room. I had to run upstairs.
No worry. We got the internet. So here's the question. Let's get back to it here. We talked about the fact that... you were able to get better. Let's go back to that Pirelli topic about a tire with a lot of fall off. Give me your thoughts coming into the start of that race. Were you kind of biding your time in the Freedom 90, or what was the deal?
So at the very start, I either thought to myself, we're in trouble, or everyone else is going to have no tire at the end of the race.
Yep.
And luckily it was the latter. So I generally enjoyed it. And I generally at around halfway, I saw people start to come back to me, and we seemed to look a little bit stronger than everyone else. So that's when I knew it was the last few laps it was on.
All right, so you come off of that experience. Let's fast forward then to Worldwide Technology Raceway at Gateway, a larger track, a lot faster track. Give me the overview of those couple of days. How good were you out of the gate there? And obviously you were unbelievably fast in the main event.
We were very strong out of the gate, I'd say, especially for the amount of fuel that we had. Doug sort of came on the radio, so just build yourself up. This place is very high speed. And I think by lap 2, we were already in the top 2.
There you go. Yeah.
So
hey, what about qualifying? You did the first time doing a 2-lap qualifier at Lucas Oil Raceway, then a 2-lap there when the car is going to be super sketchy at the start. Give me your thoughts on the 2-lap qualifying.
I love it, man. I think it's so much fun just putting everything on the line for those 2 laps and just getting the maximum that you can, whether the car is understeer or oversteer. You're stuck with it and you have to give your maximum. But the car really was on rails that day.
So talk about the last 5 laps. Finally, Braden Eves was able to get by the 2 Juncos racing cars and was kind of starting to reel you in a little bit, but you put down such consistent laps. Tell me about those last 5 laps, and then tell me about the one after the checkered flag after you had won.
So I definitely knew he was starting to come at the end. We trimmed the downforce off quite a bit for the race. Mm-hmm. So we wouldn't get attacked from behind, but I knew at the end we would probably struggle a little bit with that. But at the end of the day, the race car really was on rails, and Andretti Steinbrenner guys really did a great job, and so did he, because I think he came through from P5 or P6.
Yeah, he was deeper in the field. Yeah, he had to work hard as well. Yeah, he had to work really hard to get by Stingray Robb. Then the last lap, or second last lap, I think we were outside move to be able to get by Artem. Give me a little bit insight into your emotion after winning that first race.
It was special. It really was special to come back into the US so late and team up with the guys just before the start of the year, and to be fast out of the box, and then quite close to that first win in Road America. Lost it by inches on the line.
Yeah.
To then have to wait quite a while to then get that win, and especially on an oval, the first one where I probably wouldn't have expected it. Really was special to have Michael there as well, and George and everyone, and Sean Jones.
Let's have a look at that, by the way. There you go. That's a pretty cool pick right there, out of the car and having Michael Andretti there for you. That's got to be something that'll be in the memory books.
Yes, sir. Always special to win in front of the boss. That's for sure. Always a nice feeling.
It's George Steinbrenner's name in Andretti Steinbrenner Autosport. Can you give me a little bit of input on potentially the relationship? Obviously, you talked about meeting George and Sean the year before at the 500. How's your relationship developed with George?
We've become much closer, especially over the last year. We do a bit of iRacing together on the simulator stuff. But he's been hugely helpful for me in the US. He's really helped me get up to speed quick, get to know the Andretti guys. I spent a lot of time with him in Indianapolis and at his house. the whole Steinbrenner family really is amazing, and they are so invested in racing, and they help every driver under their wing. That's for sure. They do. They've done so much for me, and I'm very grateful.
Was the race at Worldwide Technology Raceway, was that your turning point? Did you all of a sudden think of championship at that point, or were you thinking championship from the get-go?
I knew it would be tough coming in. I really didn't want to think about any sort of championship. I wanted to think about just getting consistent results.
Yeah.
Because what I found, especially here in the US, with the point system here, is consistency is king. DNFs really, really hurt you here. I think more so than they would with the point system in Europe. So I really was focused on consistent, strong results. And championships come from point. As the old saying goes, points mean prizes. So
I like that. Yeah, very much.
We were close. The Juncos guys did a great job, and as did Stingray. But I'm quite happy with our year looking back. I think we did the maximum that we could, and now we fight to go one step higher for 2021.
That's it. We'll get to that in a couple of seconds. You mentioned the simple fact that you didn't have the opportunity to test at a lot of these racetracks. You'd never been on these tracks before. I had you on a podcast before Indianapolis. You'd never been on that racetrack either, but the first time you went there. You were able to test, though, at New Jersey Motorsports Park. How much difference was then your first couple of days there, your first race there? You were obviously able to get a victory.
That was a big help. We found a lot of stuff on the car in that 2-day test, especially at the end of the 2-day test. Of a few things we tried really got rid of those question marks that we had sort of all through the year with the car, and a few balance issues that we had. So it was nice to have those questions answered, and definitely helped with our raw speed for sure.
Let's. I have a question I'm going to throw out here, because let's look at this shot here. Is it on this one here too? Yeah. Let's have a look at that one. I love the livery of this with the actual shot of you in the car. And in fact, Elaine Sinclair has come on and asked that question. Let me bring it back so I can pop the question up. Let me do this right. I got to do it myself. She said, "Can you tell us a little bit about that rather unique car design, the livery on the car, the graphics on the car? Whose idea was that? Where did that come from?"
So Anton Stepinovic from AIS Simulators was working with Paul Ryan on the livery of the car for the year.
Yeah.
And that's what Paul Ryan ended up coming up with, who works for Engine Media. And it was a really cool cool livery. We kind of fell in love with it straight away, and potentially maybe it's something we're thinking about to keep again for next year. Not sure yet, but it really stands out, that's for sure.
I'll tell you this. Thank you very much for that, because when I'm calling races, and it's hard to see, I'm calling off a small monitor, wherever we work on. Your car was always easy for me to find. You never got misidentified as somebody else, because I knew exactly who it was when I saw
That's
the car.
Always nice. Right? That's always
Let's talk. Okay, so let's talk about New Jersey. We've got New Jersey Motorsports Park triple header. Then we go to St. Petersburg to cap things off. You're in the championship fight. You're able to get a race win. Let's talk about that race win first. Obviously, pretty big for you to get the victory. Moved you even closer in the championship. Give me your mindset after you're able to get that win.
Very nice to have. After the race runs that we did in the test, we knew it would be hard to overtake there. With the high speed. The general high-speed nature of the track, it'd be hard to follow. So we knew qualifying is key. And the next day in the morning, we seemed to struggle a little bit in qualifying. So I knew the race would be a bit tough with Stingray clinching the pole position as well. So I guess you could say it was a bittersweet weekend. Nice to get a win, but to lose the championship as well was not ideal. But the gap, I think, going into that race was 41 points. So it was still a sizable gap, but it's never over till it's over. So,
well, I think you'll say this: a couple of race wins, fantastic. But what you did get was a ton of experience on the racetracks. It's going to pay off for next year. You end up finishing second place in the championship, Devlin. You are the rookie of the year as well. All in all, I think you've got it. And you already mentioned it. We'll go back and talk about it again. All in all, a pretty solid debut season on the road to Indy.
No, I think it's been a great season, as I said before. Especially to get to know Andretti so well, and such a great team. And in Indy Lights, there's a lot of teams that are strong, but Andretti really seemed to have been the benchmark for the last number of years.
Devlin DeFrancesco joining me here on episode 14 of the Road to Indy Insider Live. Devlin, let's now talk about 2021. You can leave 2020 where it was. You had a chance to test an Indy Lights car earlier in 2020. Then you'd moved to Indy Pro after the program went on hiatus. I think everybody knows you're going to probably Andretti, and I know you've been doing some testing. I won't push you. There's going to be an announcement coming soon. Let's just say this: you've been testing the Indy Lights car. What do you think about that car compared to the PM18 and everything else you've driven in your career? So
I've done 2 days in it. One recently, one at the very start of the year. Very enjoyable car to drive. Very fast, a lot of power, a lot of downforce, and it's nice to have adjustable bars too. That was pretty cool. I never had that before, so that was a pretty cool tool to have in the cockpit. So all in all, definitely one of the coolest race cars I've driven so far to date. Any discussion, or have you tested yet with the push to pass at all? I had one try at the push to pass. That was really cool. Good. Awesome. That was really cool. I'm excited to use. 50 extra horsepower is pretty solid, right? That's not bad. It's a lot. Yeah, I know. So so tell me this. Looking to 2021, are we going to get an official announcement coming soon? Everyone could stay tuned the next couple of weeks. That's all I'll say. That's it? Okay, I'll take that. What you can say is you look at the schedule for next year where we're going racing. Are there a couple of tracks that you're looking forward to? Like, I can't wait to get back to that racetrack or whatever it may be. Is there something you're looking forward to in 2021? Worldwide Technology Raceway. That's one I'm excited to get back to, especially in a much more powerful car. Yep. Streets of Toronto, my hometown. That's it, right? That's going to be big. That'll be a nice one to do well at. And Laguna Seca is one I'm quite excited to drive at as well. That seems like it's a cool track on iRacing, so I'm excited to do it in real life. Let's talk about Toronto. Obviously, I know that you like me. You're from Canada. How important? Like I know I've talked to James Hinchcliffe about it. You talked to Parker Thompson about it. Dalton Kellett, the guys that came up, out of the Toronto area. How big is that race for you to be able to run an essentially Indy Lights at Toronto? Obviously, you're going to have a lot of people there, but I got to think that's going to be a really special weekend for you. That'll be a special weekend. I'll have all my family down there. Traveling now is very limited with the coronavirus, and now there's been some spikes again all across the globe. So who knows what's going to happen? But it'll be definitely nice to have my grandparents there, my aunt there, my little cousin there, who's just turned 1 actually. So it'll be nice to have all my close family who I haven't seen in quite a while. Here's a question for you, and you might want to do this if it's the answer is a no. Have you talked to James Hinchcliffe? I know he's kind of connected with the Andretti Autosport team. Have you discussed what it's like being a Canadian at that race? Because I know that in talking to James, I've known James forever. That race is so intense for him media-wise. He's so busy the entire time. He has to hide away in the RV quite a bit. Have you prepped yourself for having that much media attention? Not yet. I spoke a little bit to James. I think he put something on his Instagram story about something with snow, and I just swiped up and said, I don't do the cold very well. And I think he just answered, that's not very Canadian of you, bud. That's right. So seems like a really, really nice guy, and I'll definitely see him around a lot more next year. Yeah, I look forward to that as well. So you're looking forward to Laguna Seca, of course, WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca. You're looking forward to Toronto as well. And I do love the fact that you are in love with the ovals. I think that's something that not a lot. I've always said this: if you want to be fast on the ovals, you better love it. Because if you don't love it, you're never going to be like really, really fast. I think yes, and the high speed stuff naturally I've always been very good at. So I think we'd come into the truck after a run. Just one of the runs in Europe at a cold Zandvoort or something, and there's a ballistically fast corner there, and when you kill everyone at that high speed, just it's a really even though you don't gain so much lap time overall, it's just a nice feeling inside. So that's all times 10 when you get to the oval, because it's just how much are you willing to put it on the line? Yeah, listen, that's awesome. I want to give you an opportunity right now to talk about the sponsors that make this happen, because I think everybody knows that without support around you, you simply can't keep moving forward. So tell me a little bit about your sponsors, and then wrap up when you're done. I want to know how people can follow you on all social media content. Yeah, so especially that, Kamo on the card, come on with Fernando Alonso. That's something very special, especially to have someone of that experience and have had that success in all across motorsport. To have won the Le Mans 24-hour, 2 F1 World Championships. Arguably one of the best drivers in history.
Yeah.
Have him on your side definitely is not a bad thing. Simply Mac, they've been on board with me quite a while. One Plant merchandise, have all the One Plant merchandise people around at St. Pete was really nice, and looking around the car, and do some really cool hoodies and t-shirts and everything. If you haven't checked them out, the George Steinbrenner, always his support's been extremely helpful. Pure Canna CBD, all the topical products they have really helps with my off-season training, which has been going really well actually. So
Good
that
man.
helps a lot with the muscle soreness, the biking and everything.
Are you hitting the weights for Indy Lights or what?
I've been bulking up a little bit. Because
Good man.
I think that's definitely going to be a more physical car to drive. So the Pure Canna CBD topical creams really helped with the muscle soreness. That's for sure.
We'll come back to social media after this. I want to ask you 2 questions first. Number one, we see a lot of these IndyCar guys coming back to karting, right? Whether it's Will Power with his WPK kart, of course, Alonso Fernando Big with his FA program, which is now with the guys from Kart Republic. Santino Ferrucci will show up and do a bunch of races. Guys get out there and get back in a kart. Karting was such a big part of your life. Is it something you still do at all? I know you're down in Miami, right?
Yes. So karting is still something I do 2 to sometimes even 3 days a week in a shifter kart. Honestly, I don't think there is better training for a race car driver than karting.
Yeah, you'll get no argument from me on that. Are you down at Homestead?
Yes, we generally go down to Homestead and do 80, 90, 100 laps in a shifter kart with the softest tires I can possibly find. Kill the ribs and kill the body, and
that's it.
But you can simulate, race runs. You can simulate qualifying runs. You have to deliver on this lap, and going with some friends. I think I went with Logan Sargent a couple months ago.
Yep, that's cool.
To always have a benchmark, so it's always nice.
Who do you run with? Who do you run with?
I've been running with. I've done a few days with ANSA.
Yep.
They do quite a good job, but looking a few projects over the winter. So karting and doing a lot more of that's definitely on my to-do list over the winter. That's for sure.
So here's the last question, and I'm going to take the audio for this Road the Inside. It's going to be on my Rob Howden podcast as well. I like to talk a bit of food as well, right? Maybe a little food, a little beer. You guys shouldn't be drinking beer because you're race car drivers.
No, and I'm underage.
And you're underage. Well, not in Canada.
Not in Canada, in the U.S.
In the U.S. On the circuit, where's your favorite place to go eat? Obviously, was there a favorite meal you had on the circuit this year?
Steak.
You're a steak guy?
I'm a steak guy. Before a race, man, I need a big steak. I was in Indy. I was in Indy doing some pit fit stuff quite recently, and I had to have a steak.
Where'd you go?
I had I think it's called Prime 47.
Yes, I've heard of that. I haven't been there yet, right?
That is one you need to try it, and the chicken chipotle mac and cheese is to die for.
There you go, folks. There's your insight from Devlin DeFrancesco. All right, Devlin, how do people follow you? Like, you know what? I want this question first. What is the ultimate goal? Because I want people to understand that when they're watching Road to Indy races, this is the future stars of the NTT IndyCar series. Is IndyCar your ultimate goal?
Yes. The end of the day, I think IndyCar has always been a dream of mine, especially to do the Indy 500. And I think to be so far up to now linked with a team as amazing as Andretti with such heritage and such great success, I'm really in a very fortunate position to be with such a great bunch of people.
Yeah, just 2 steps away, folks. And that's why we do this. All right. Now they know why to follow you because you're going to be driving IndyCar in a couple of years. How do they follow you on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, whatever it may be?
Twitter and Instagram, definitely follow me at Devlin DeFran and have a look. And Facebook, I have a page, my full name, Devlin DeFrancesco. You'll be able to stay up to date with all the live timing and race weekends from there.
Well, Devlin, thank you for taking the time. I know you had a meeting. We moved this a little bit. You were like 120 miles an hour to get back home so we can make sure we roll on at 5 o'clock. I do appreciate it, man. Hey, congrats on a really strong season. Those 2 wins, impressive. So close on that championship. But I think, like I said, all that experience you're able to gain is going to pay off big time when we're going to see you next year in Indy Lights. But I really appreciate you joining us.
Thank you so much, Rob. Anytime. Thank you so much.
There he is, folks. I'll drop him off the outside here, and we'll talk to him a little bit afterwards here. That's Devlin DeFrancesco, a young driver you're really going to want to follow here. He was such a great addition to the 2020 program. Like he had said, it kind of came on late. We didn't know that he was going to be running Indy Pro 2000. When the announcement came out, man, I was super happy. I'm like, this kid is going to be a one to watch for sure in this program. And I think he's going to be a dark horse next year in Indy Lights. He hasn't announced it yet, but I got to think he's probably going to be with Andretti, right? And when you're with Andretti, you know you're going to have a shot at it. Two-time winner in Indy Pro 2000. Very good possibility to be on top of the box at least one race, maybe back at Worldwide Technology Raceway Gateway again. I do want to thank everybody for joining us here. If you haven't done this yet, do me a favor and subscribe to the podcast, the YouTube channel. I appreciate it. Hit the like button, smash that like button, and hit the bell as well. You'll see when all the new content comes out. And again, look forward to subscribing as well to the Rob Howden podcast and Road to Indy Insider, iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Podbean. We'll be pushing the content everywhere. You can follow me as well at Rob Howden on Twitter, at Rob Howden Racing on Instagram, and of course at Road to Indy Insider on Instagram, and at RTI Insider on Twitter. I got the Road to Indy Insider on Facebook as well. Thank you so much for joining us, folks. An unbelievable interview with a very talented Canadian driver, Devlin DeFrancesco here. Thank you so much, folks. Appreciate it. Book it.